Hello, YouTube, and welcome in to another fantastic episode of Timber Dune, where it's the middle of the night. We get to enjoy the stars above us, the ocean of poo water before us, and the beautiful, irrigated, and lush world that we are creating for our beavers over here in Timber Dune, and I'm happy to see it. We've got swimming pools for days so our beavers can go and take a dip. We've got bad tide rolling in. Or bad water, sorry. We've got so much water available to us down here, and we've got a system that we still need to finalize in this area. So we need to get this up and running so that we can feed water into the pumpers while the water is below their straw depth. So that'll be something that we get to tackle today. And the other thing that I wanted to tackle, and something that I mentioned in the last episode, is I wanted to get over here and expand our power capacity, because right now we're doing, I think, only 9,000. For some reason it was showing 8,000 the other day, but this is not exactly what we wanted to see or wanted to show. So we want to get over here and rectify that for us. So that requires a little bit of jaunt over this system and blasting all of this out. We'll probably keep this on the same level, and we'll block this off to allow for that water to flow this way, and we'll feed our power up into these large water wheels. And at some point we'll get in here and actually tear all this out, but today is not that day. And of course, I do need to figure out what to do with the 15 bots that we have running about the cabin that have nothing to do with their hands. So that means that they can go into probably these positions, actually, since we do have that many positions open in the hauling posts as those are concerned. And that also means that we can put a lot of our builders into a little bit more of a precarious situation, probably digging into this whole shenaniganry over here, which is something I would also like to do at some point today as well. So that means we've got power expansion to do, dirt that I would like to dig into so that we can gain access to terrain blocks so we can cap this off. And I would also like to dig into this this tunnel here, cap it off, but dig in and dig down into the Badwater River that runs underneath here so we can do some fun stuff in that whole system. And I would also like to, at some point, fix this. Now, a couple of you guys had mentioned that I could probably get away with fixing all of these sensors with some timers, which I don't believe I have unlocked. I do have timers unlocked. I do have timers unlocked. All right, so maybe if we get a series of timers installed on a couple of these systems, we can get all of that rectified. This whole back and forth that we've been seeing, all the flashing and pain that has been inducing. So let's go ahead and see if we can get those tossed in as well, while I'm thinking about what it is that I want to tackle first. And that means doing some more shenaniganry over here and there and here, and how. That goes there. You get to be tossed in right here as well. Do these have to be above the water? I feel like they don't necessarily need to be above the water. And I don't think that this needs to go in, honestly. I think we're fine with just these. Now, I'm not entirely sure how this goes. I might have to pause and go look at some other commentary pertaining to those timers and systems so that I can figure out how that's supposed to go. But that is something that will get built now, and I don't know. You can be a supply depot for logs now, and that can be a place for all that material to go. And we could probably unpause you as a lumberjack position and move all of that lumber through the cabin a little bit easier, because they are definitely not keeping up with that. It also doesn't help that we're maxed out on the logs right now. So, okay, let's go ahead and start moving our way across the field here, and that means doing something like this, putting something in like there. We'll go ahead and toss in a 1x3, put that in right there. That can go right there. I don't need that, actually. I want Call it 2. There we go. Then we just do stairs down. And this then turns into stairs across and then up. And there. And then I want to run this all the way back here. You probably run power along this back side. So I can start thinking about tearing all this out. Maybe that's something that I tackle too while we're over here. So let's do something like that. Save a little bit. I feel like this is a tad bit unnecessary and obnoxious, but you know what? I'm having fun and that's all that matters. All right? That is all that matters. Sweet. So there across, that means we can come down here and up and across this way. And now we need to think about explosive placement. So down here, we need singles on that line. We need doubles on this line. Then we need triples along here. And then that means we need singles and doubles and triples. Again. Singles, doubles, more doubles, all the way back to there, and then triples on this back end. Realizing that I've put myself in a position where I can't really crawl up there right now, but we can rectify that by throwing that in right there. And now we can grab this bad Johnny, rip this all the way back to here, rip that all the way back to there. And then we also need a way to, that means that you get all ripped out. You get all ripped out, and then honestly, all of this gets ripped out. Go away. That's not what we want. We want this out as well. So that goes away. You become a path up, staircase up. Grab you, rip that back there. Rip out this pathway here so nobody gets into a position where they're not supposed to be. And that's what we want to see. That goes in, and I think we now cut this across back to this side. And that goes like that. Cool. So now we can blast this out without too much issue. We can do the same thing here. And that's U is that button. It shouldn't cause any problems. Still has an outflow or an outlet there. And then we hit this button here. Now that becomes triples. We're going to have to give them away to the other side. Means, well, they have access to there. So that's good. Actually, we could just crawl in this like that. So that is good. Really, now that I see that. So that is fantastic, and I'm here for it. That means they can place that in there. We can also go ahead and eat in this line here without too much consternation. And we do the same thing back to here and to there, and that is good. Once they have this in, we can connect that up to here and do the same thing all the way down there. I'm here for it. And no one should get stuck, in theory. That's hopefully how that works. I just need to slap those last two in for us there. And I feel as though I don't want to explode this one yet. I think we can hit this button here, though. That goes all like that. Now we come in here and hit these triple explosives in here and do that all the way back to there. We grab this path. We run that all the way back here so they can gain access to all of that. And that is glorious. I do want them to touch that, please. And that should go in before all of that goes in. Those are getting tossed in, so that is glorious for that to all occur. Come on, guys. Please throw these in for us. So I can rip this out and connect all of that up. I'm realizing I have caused another bit of an issue for ourselves. I need to actually have a place for all of the power to rest and go up somewhere. All right. Well, that's an uh-oh on my behalf. I should have thought about that. Clearly, I am not in my the rightest of minds right now. And I just probably caused even more problems for myself in doing that, but that's okay. What we can do is puts everything on that level. I think we need to... Maybe we need to come up to this side. And then we also need to blast all this down. Probably entails a little bit of shenaniganry that I don't really want to play with. I have not thought this through, apparently. Clearly, it's become quite evident that I have not solved this problem for myself yet very easily. They can throw all that in. And if we want all this to be on this level, then I'm going to need to blast this down one. Right. Do I want that to be on triples? Is that right? Did I do something wrong? That's the depth that I need it to be. Is that too low? No. That's right. That is... Okay. I see what I'm doing wrong here. Alright. I think I know what I need to do. Let's go ahead and punch this. Do I want to do that like that? Probably not. You know what? Let's go like this. Go like this. Like this. This is going to consume a lot of material, but this also means that we can keep working on here without destroying everything, in theory. That'll take a little bit for them to come in and do all of that for us, but that should be fine. Shouldn't cause any more issues on that backside either. And that also gives us access to all of this. And that means that we can now grab this line, run this all the way this way. That should be good there. All right, cool. So let's give them a few seconds to get all of that tossed in. We won't blast this out yet. We do need to get onto this side and blast this down. That needs to go down 1 here and 2, 3, 4 there is my understanding. So let's go ahead and plan that out as well. And we want this in right here. Grab that, toss that way. This goes here. Grab this, rip that back. Have them rip those two out. Give ourselves a way up here. A little bit of stair action. More stair action, and don't need any further. Okay, path all the way back to here, all the way back to there. And this needs to be a singleton. This needs to be, what do we say? So double here, triple, 4. Okay. So you need to be triples. Not that one. Triples, please. There we go. Doubles. And that should be fine. That is all going in very nicely, and that is a good thing. I'm here for it. Now, it's taking its sweet time because they're having to place a lot of material on and about the cabin, and I don't believe I've provided them the best means to get everything on hand. But we do have plenty of hollers about the cabin that we should be able to accommodate this relatively easily, hopefully. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself, so we can easily sleep at night. And I probably should give them an easier place to settle in and get some more power in here, which means tossing in a couple charging stations. Charging stations, please and thank you. Give these a little bit of a priority bump so those can get taken care of. Though we won't be doing much more over here. Well, yeah, we will be putting in a lot of large water wheels, which will consume a lot of time and effort on our beavers' behalf. Or our bots' behalf. So let's accommodate them to the best of our ability as well. And I did not mean to pause you. I meant to swap you over and swap you over so that they can go do fantastic things with their hands in a better position than what they were in before. And that is a good thing. Now we've got plenty of bots running about the cabin. And now that I'm thinking about something, we have a little bit of extra science floating about as well. So I feel like we could probably very easily put something in right here. Cover down most of the bot production, material production and everything. Probably do the same thing over here. Pull it over one more just to cover down all of those positions. That's good. We can put in one more back here, and that will be a good spot for everything moving forward. Somehow we have 82 bots about the cabin. A heck of a lot more than I had originally anticipated to be dealing with at this point in time, but that is a good thing in the end, so that is cool. And they're putting in all these explosives for us still, so that is good. I'm not too concerned about all of that. Now, I do need to run this power up into here from somewhere. So I'm thinking what we do is continue connecting all of these in. And then I run power connections all along this side. We could just rip this all the way down, all of this down to the appropriate height that we want it to be at. I also need them to have access to that right there, which means probably ripping that out, giving them a staircase down, and give that a small priority bump just so they can get that accommodated relatively quickly. And that is a good thing. Now they've got all of that in for us. They are ripping these out for us, which is a fantastic for us to see, and I'm happy for it. That is ready for a double here. That needs a little bit more on that side, which is fine. How are we doing? Still 9,600. Did they put these in? They did. Great. Yeah. Still 6 bots with nothing to do with their hands. And a couple beavers with the same problem as well. So let's go ahead and give these guys a little bit something to do over here. Swap that over to Ironbot. Ironbot. The other one can be the regular one there. That's fine. And then swap you guys over. We've got a little bit of science rocking to do that. It'll be good. They got all of these built. So now we're burning science actively. But only 3 science per hour. And we are producing 20 science per hour. So we should be fine. Though we are not doing the greatest on overall power production right now still. But that's fine. We are rectifying that. That goes boom there. This goes boom there. And we pull that down to triples yet again. I think that's where we want that to be, if I recall correctly. Then I want to... I think we want to run power. If I did my math correctly... And there's no guarantee I did my math correctly. 0 guarantee whatsoever. That should be the line at which the power gets connected. Should. Should being the operative term there. Oh. That's all getting yeeted in, so that's good. As we want to see happening now. We have 3.3 days remaining in this bad tide. That still doesn't solve this problem for us. The moment the temperate cycle kicks in, I think a lot of this will get alleviated actually, now that I think about it, because a lot of this is being fed by the bad water pipes, which stop during a temperate cycle and of course during a drought. So we might be able to get in there relatively soon. But I still want to fix this power system for us, which means I need to make sure that that's all in, which it is. That means that that gets yeeted up, and that's good. I think we can now hit this button. We can do the same for all of this and all of that. Should be appropriate. Now everything gets thrown in like this. Grab the large water wheels. That gets put in. If we have 1, 2, and 3, that gets fit in very nice and easy here. This really isn't producing the greatest in overall water, but it's fine. That's all getting connected in. That was the appropriate height. I somehow won that gambit, so I will call that a win. That's a rare dub for me, and I will take it. And let's see here. Still need to find a way to get all of that connected. Not too much issue, so that runs across like that. I want that to come in over here. Now I would also like to run this power up through here. That means you get ripped out, and we put this vertical power shaft in right there, and that gets all the way up to there, and reconnect that right there. Probably should have measured that out a little bit more, but it's okay. That's already 1,300 units of power right there, and that is fantastic. 1,400 now, and climbing. That is beautiful. I am here for it. It's all getting yeeted across the way, and that's good. They're putting all of these in there as well. That's all connected. 2,000 units of power there, and this will be another 400-ish capped on top there, and that's glorious. And then we should have the capacity to crawl in and over and across into there without too much issue. And that is what we want to see. That's going to take a little bit for them to throw all of the gears, planks, and logs into that system, and that is fine. Already. Okay, sweet. That is going in beautifully. That needs the last couple of planks, which we should have all of that on hand. And then all of that gets thrown about the cabin as well. We can swap you guys over. Swap you all over as well. Click that button, and now we can also tack in a couple of these charging stations right here for our bots that we just put in. Well, I think we only need one. 1 for 3 is more than enough, right? Maybe 2? I think 2 is a good answer. Let's do 2. 2 seems like a good idea for me. And that means that you get pulled out so we don't have that little corner there. And that's glorious. Probably reclaim some of that material there, but that's okay. These guys are being slow, but they should turn over here and get all that in. And that is good. Now we can think about this over here. Again. I don't think I've finished putting in the rest of these timers. So let's see here. This, so we want delay. Okay, give me 1 second. All right. So I think what we need to do here is delay this 1 tick. Delays A on T1 off by T2. Off by 12 hours. And let me see here. And that feeds to the fluid dump. Right? We don't need an optional reset, so that goes to there, that goes to there. This, we select this, I think. We put this to low. So when this turns on, it hits this, it delays the response. It turns on, delays response by 1 tick, and it stays on for an hour, I think. Let's try it out. I think that's how it's supposed to work. Oh no, we'll see. This is probably the worst place to attempt that. Considering all these goods are kind of not drought resistant, but we'll figure it out, I hope. Kind of feel like we need to put in a few more places to a few more farmhouses, actually, now that I'm seeing the sheer amount of goods about the cabin. And let's swap one side to that side, and maybe we come over here and do the same thing over here. Swap you, flop you over to there, put that in right there, I guess. It's probably a tad bit ridiculous, but you know, it's fine. And at one point or another, I'd like to dig down one layer deeper for all the tubeways, just so we can put water back in here, and then we can alleviate that. Or we just have the water run through here like the little riverlets that it is, which I'm not opposed to doing. I like the riverlets. We just need to dump or pump water into the riverlets, and then we have a constant source of water moving about the cabin. And I still want to come down here at some point or another and fix that side too. That is all in. That is all connected. So that means that all of that is now 12,000 horsepower, which is what we want to see. Everything is connected, so that is beautiful. Now we can come back in here. We can grab this bad Johnny, toss that in, put this, pull this way by a couple, and then somehow like to also rip this out. Rip that out as well. Realized I needed to actually come over here to put in one explosive. So that's what I get for not thinking. So that means that you get to be another triple in here again, even though I just tore that out. I'm the goober who tore it out. I guess be an explosive right there. And then that gets tossed in. That gets all accommodated relatively quickly or soon. We can rip that out, rip this out. And now we can connect here, put this in right here to connect all of that. It should be relatively easy there. And now that system is flipped back over. Everything's moving. Is this, how's this doing? We're still at 0.8. I don't think that that's actually going to, I feel like that's not going to actually work because we have two of these dumps over here feeding that. So I feel like we can probably mess with this. So delay this. And then we want one tick. We want this to be 12 hours. And then that gets put onto that now. Right, and this goes down to there. We'll call it 0.3. That means that he stays in there until that goes off, which goes off in 9.8 hours, I think. And then, so he'll continue to dump in there until this turns off. And then when this turns back on, when it drops below the 0.9 or the 0.3, that'll turn that. I think I know. I understand. I think I get it. So does that mean that we can automate this to that and automate you to that? Save a little bit of our water. And so we can do the same thing over here. We can pull this down to that 0.3, grab this, hit the delay, attach that to that sensor, do one tick, this to 12 hours, and then that goes to there. You get put on that bad Johnny. I think that's what we want it to do. I think that's how that works. Now if we check this sensor, it's at 0.8. It's paused. Maybe I've done it correctly. I don't know. We'll see. This is not filling in, probably because these are all closed. And the same for this whole system here. So I don't think we want fill? I think we want... Did we want flow valves? Throttling valves? I feel like we want throttling valves. Somebody mentioned something about throttling valves down here being the better option for us. Maybe that's what we want to put in here. Right now, that just fills to the 1.0. That's unlimited, so that's... We put fill valves in, then that alleviates the excessive rate at which this fills up. So we shouldn't see it sloshing back and forth like we did historically. In theory, anyway. I feel like you guys don't need to be on automation anymore because we have so many beavers floating about the cabin. We don't need that turned on right now. See, yeah. Yeah, okay. So let's pull that off. And let's do the same here. So we're going to close that. Close those. And we're going to have to fix that. Cool. So during the next drought, we'll come back in here and we'll alleviate that issue. Building lacks goods. Your fire. Okay. I still haven't produced fireworks yet. Okay. Oh, that's cool. We got a bunch of colors to play with. Okay, I'm just curious at this point. Since we have them, let's swap you over to fireworks. It requires bad water. Okay, it's just bad water. Okay, that's not bad. I'm curious. I would like to try it out. Alright, we do have a drought inbound, so that's not bad. How are we doing on all this? We're still connected. Everything is in. We can click on this button here. Blast that down. And now we can rip these out again officially. That means we can refit this large water wheel in right there. And I did not give myself enough room for that. Boo! Do we rip all this out to fit in one more water wheel? Is that excessive? Yes. Would I do it? It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Would I do something so ridiculous as to rip everything out just to move it over one system? Probably. I do ridiculous things like that. Okay, so power. We have a solution for the power. Okay, that's good. Let's be a bit ridiculous here. And absolutely be insane. Pause the game real quick. Let's cut into this. Can I have you, please? Thank you. Yes. Rip this out. Blast this down by 1. Blast you down by 1. Max priority these, because this is going to be a problem, because I've just cut off all the power to everything. Okay, and that means this needs a max priority, and we're going to go ahead and burn the science to get that swapped over real quick. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that right there, but I feel like this is a good place for all this to go. Now, these are all going to be slowed down for a hot minute, but I don't anticipate us seeing a substantial drop in material goods and all the other jazz that would put us in a bad spot, and everything else is... Yeah, it's okay. We're making terrible decisions together, guys. That's all that matters. All right, that goes boom. You get connected right here, and then that means that you get connected right here, and then that means that you get to go boom as soon as that beaver... Well, that doesn't matter. All right, cool. That goes there. That goes there. You get to be thrown in right here, and you get to be a max priority, and you do as well. So you're both going, or all of you are going max priority. So there's nothing else being built right now, so that's really not gonna save anything or help anything out. Okay, cool. No power, but everything's getting alleviated right now, hopefully soon. Skadoosh. That's in, so that's cool. Now this needs to get connected so we can have power back in the entire colony, which would be a good thing. Okay. Let's check on all of these. That is off, but it's at 0.58, so that's the correct height. And this is 0.69. Oof. Our poor beavers are not in a good spot. Come on, guys. That just needs to get a few more gears slapped in. All right. All right. Let's swap you guys over. Bio beavers to the rescue? Question mark. Come on, 6 more gears. What are we doing, guys? 6 more gears. That's all we need to do. Come on. Oh, it's one iron bot that probably has all 6 gears on hand right now. And that is holding up this entire process. He's going to throw those last 6 gears in, run away, and somebody else is probably going to run back in behind him and slap that together. And there we go. Everything's reconnected. Oh, gotta love it. All right, cool. Now we have a bunch of bots running about the cabin that are all recharging right now because they didn't have access to anything, but that has been rectified, so that's a good thing. So now we can go ahead and start putting in something over here. Let's pull that across like that. We can put these on top here. Cool. That's a few more charging stations for those bots. We could do... I kind of had an idea for all this. Blasting this down and putting all this storage underground down here. But that isn't quite... Oof. 20 bots out of power. It doesn't help that we have only so many charging stations available. But we've got our bio beavers running about the cabin doing all the things for us. So that's a good thing. Cool. Okay. Let's open this up just for a second. So we can fill this in and close it immediately. That's going to slosh about for a moment. Open that up just a little bit more and then close it again. And that's a good height. That's a good amount of water saved up in there for us, so I'm content with that. We've got 14,000 units of water on hand, and that is a fantastic thing for all of our friends. Now I need to also connect this up right here. That means hitting this button right here. I think we probably need a few more of these charging stations dotted about the cabin as well. So let's get a few more of those in. I think we can swap these guys back over to Build-A-Bots, since a lot of those guys are now recharged and ready to rock. Now we're back up to 12k units of power available to us, so that is good. We have dirt officially on hand now too, so that is good. Now I would like to give ourselves a bit of a place to store said dirt. I think we can do that back here maybe. Why not? Go and rip all of that out. Probably don't need that marked for rippage. That's fine. That'll be good. We've got 4 bots in there still with nothing to do because they're bored. All right. How is this coming along? 0.53. We haven't still gotten to see whether or not that actually works, and I think this is the same thing on this side. I think those 3 are the only 3 that are directly attached to that system. That's separate. How is that getting filled in? That side's not doing it. This side's doing it. Okay, let's fix that. That needs to go up one more layer. That needs to go in there, and I think that's already been put in there. Okay, that'll save us a little bit more water. Though that really doesn't hurt anything, honestly, because I'm not actively dumping water into that system right there. But it is obnoxious and unnecessary. And we've got plenty of water to pump out on this side. That's good. We could probably come down in here now and swap all of this out real quick. To not fill, but to throttling valves. Now all of that water is going to hunt into here, probably cause a little bit of a flooding issue. Because that's a lot of water pent up back there. Like a metric ton of water, and that's all going to slosh about the cabin and cause some more problems for us, but that is good. Let's limit the flow rate to 0. So that doesn't keep blasting through and causing any more issues with us on this backside. So that's cool. I don't necessarily know what a good flow rate is for this whole system in here. I guess one dam is able to accommodate 1 cubic meter pass through at any given point. Maybe? So how do we get over here and rectify that issue there? Do a little cheeky something over here. That goes like that and like that. I like to crawl down onto here, and then that gives us access to all of this over here as well. And I'm distracting myself yet again. I did have a plan to get over there and deal with all of our dirt stuffs. But I feel like we can tackle both of these at the same time. Right? I kind of want to rip that out right there. Give us this right here. That gives us access to this right here. Oh, I don't want that there. I want this and this. Oh, I wanted that to be a triple. I guess it'd be a triple right there, and we do another there like that. And now we can put this on top there. That should be accessible. I think they can reach that. They can somehow. Yeah, they can reach that through there. Cool. You can do all that, and they can get that accommodated real quick. We can pull this back down. Not that far down. Then put this in right here. These stairs in right there and right there. Gives us access to all that. Probably pull that out. Put this in right here. Then put these stairs in right there so that we can gain access to all that. All that other fun jazz. Okay, cool. That's running. So now I want to get over here. First put in a place to store dirt, which means dirt storage gets put in right here. Do this the easy way. Dirt, please. I don't think I need to hit that button. Hit this B button. That gets all the way across the field. I did it again. Boosh, boosh, and skadoosh. There we go. I feel like that's more than enough dirt storage for initial requirements. And then we put this in right here, and that goes like this across there. And then we can go like that. And because I'm a glutton for punishment, we'll put in another line on top of there. Why not? That means that you get to go in like that, and you get to go right here, and then you get to go like that and like this. One of these ways. There we go. Cool. Beautiful. There. Plenty of storage for dirt now. And these guys can get back to work doing bot things. And that is glorious and what we want to see happening. Okay, how are we doing on this? So this should turn on here in a moment. Any moment now. Any second now. Okay, turn me into a liar. Okay, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, I'm just not gonna... I'm not... Let's tie it to that. I don't know what that's gonna do. Okay, 0.31, 0.30. So this should turn on here in a second. Hey, it worked. So that turns on. This kicks on as well. But this countdown timer doesn't start going until somebody actively gets in there and starts moving it. Oh, until this goes off. Right? So this will stay on until this goes off, which won't happen until it exceeds the 0.30, which it does now, and that means that this stays on for another 12 hours. And that means that that gets filled in for the next 12 hours of the game time, and that's what we wanted to see. Heck yeah! Beautiful! We're learning! We are learning, and I am here for it. Don't need that. This is reconnected there. You go away. You get connected here. You get connected there. You don't need to be connected. You don't need to be connected. We're in there now. So let's go down this way. And down this way. And we want to go up over here, and over here, and up here. We want to fill that in somehow. Means doing a couple of things. Okay. Make sure that these guys actually make this trek. We've got 23 days to get this in, so I think we'll be fine. Which is all right. And that goes all the way up to here. Now we've got access to that as well, and that's glorious. Now, let's see how we want to do this. We could blast this back. Did they actually change this to let us put this under here? No, they did not. What's the easiest way to fill this in? Probably just putting in a series of platforms under here. This. All the way up to there. Bring this in right there. And then we put that in right there. Rip that out. We just should do the job. Should do the trick. Then we come in here to landscaping. We hit the terrain block here. We put this in on top of that. Unlock that. We eat all of this in. And that gets covered up. Nice and easy. And of course, we're going to have to give them access to get on top of all of that too. But that should be relatively simple. And we click this button, hit that button here, give this dirt, hit this obtain button, prioritize. And we swing back all the way over to here. And we hit this one as a supply depot. And if we wanted to, we could cap these three geothermal fields off and somehow run that power all the way back here. Probably hunting in a little bit right there to feed that system. And then we just connect it into this. I'm not opposed to that. That would take a hot minute, but it's also another 400, 1200 units of horsepower. That is always a good thing. This is taking them a hot minute to make this trek because it is quite the trek. Should I build a tubeway system over here? I feel like we should, honestly, because I kind of want to build in a huge, like, river that runs through here. And then all the way back into here. I think that'd be beautiful. And then have a huge lake over here. How much of this real estate is to water? A good portion of it. But we could turn a lot of this backside into a huge lake. And that would be really, really cool. I like that idea. I think we'll have a lake in the dunes. As you talk about tiny oasis, we'll have a massive oasis of pure joy and happiness. All right. I think that'll be beautiful. We do kind of want to alleviate a little bit of this wreck too, so let's put in some logs, planks, and metal blocks here. That goes in like that. This goes in like that. They are almost to the... No, they aren't anywhere near it. Have them rip this out and probably rip this out too. They are putting a little bit of the dirt in, which is fine as long as they don't block our access to that down there, which they shouldn't. Let me just grab this. They are putting them in down here, so that's a good thing. Okay, cool. Now I want to get in to here. Oh, that's the wrong button. And run this down into this system over here, so we can have still have their source of bad water coming into here, which means crawling down into here, or we just blast this through and then cover it back up. I don't want to necessarily do that, but I also don't necessarily need this anymore either. This is unnecessary once we get this capped off, though it is necessary for bad water purposes, and we don't have another source of bad water anywhere on this map that I'm aware of. Everything else is bad water pipes underground, and we've just got this one bad water discharge. That's the only source we have is this. And I don't really have a... Well, we could blast this out and have a like a reservoir on this side, and it fills in this side, and then the excess fills out that way. And we can just fill this in with a bunch of bad water pumps. I'm not opposed to that. And that's actually... I think that would alleviate this problem that we're having over here, where these guys are slowing down the flow of bad water into this system. I think that is technically blocking a little bit of that off. Maybe that would solve it. I don't know. We could try it out. If it doesn't work, we can always fill it back in. That is always an option for us. I do need to prioritize these. Obtain, and prioritize obtain. This is going to take a hot minute for all that to come in. I think, yep, that has solved that issue. And I think if we bring in gears as well... Nope, we don't need gears for that. We just need planks and metal, or planks and logs for those back here. So let's go ahead and just cap those off real quick. Give ourselves a bit of a staircase up here as well. And that would allow us to go ahead and clear all of this. And this should look a little something like that. We've done our fair share of clearing of thorns on this channel, so what's a little bit more? All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to let them rage against this machine and finish everything up in a beautiful, beautiful fashion. And we'll get this all capped off. And at some point, we'll also dig into the other system to allow bad water flow through, and we'll get something else rectified. But we finally done it. We came over here, we cleaned up this mess. Probably could make this a little bit easier for our bots, but it's fine. They'll have their a fun time walking across the lands. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please hit the like button. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate that as well. And we'll catch you on the next episode of Timber Dune. I'm out. See ya.